By now, my new film, Super Mario Bros. Origins, has been out for a little while. For those who don't know about it, I have a video explaining it and the film itself linked in the description. But anyways, that means there are two Mario movies that released this year, one being from Illumination and the other being from me. And it was a big deal with Mario Bros. Origins for me to improve on the Illumination Mario movies because I felt like they lacked in story. The first one got mixed reactions, but the Mario Galaxy movie, a lot more people, myself included, agreed that it just sucked at being a movie. But now that both the Mario Galaxy movie and Super Mario Bros. Origins have released, I figured it'd be fun to show you guys what exactly I meant by improving on the film's flaws. So for this video, I'm going to be doing an in-depth comparison, and also giving some storytelling tips along the way, because I don't want this video to be just about me rambling. And speaking of which, I'm almost a minute into the video, so let's get things started. With the characters. The first big problem with the Super Mario Galaxy movie is the fact that it either underused or straight up disrespected the characters that it had. First up, there's Mario, who should be the main character of the movie because it's his name in the title and not Peach. But it turns out she's the one going on this big adventure while Mario's stuck in the Mushroom Kingdom taking care of things while she's gone. But then all of a sudden he's kind of just forced into the story with nothing to do. So for most of the movie he's kind of just walking around. And that is something you absolutely should not do with your main character because it's a big step towards making your movie very, very boring. Instead, what you should do is have your character actively choose to go on the adventure for their own reason. And especially in movies like these, it's good to have your character make a necessary change at the end of the movie influenced by the events that happened. To give the movie, you know, a point. Because if nothing about the characters changes by the end, there's no real reason for the movie to have happened. The entire second act of the Super Mario Galaxy movie consists of Mario doing absolutely nothing, which is a major problem because that's the part of the movie that the character should be having the most development in. His feelings for Peach are brought up once or twice, but almost nothing he does involves that. So when Peach gives him a kiss at the end of the movie, it feels fake. It doesn't feel earned. Now let's take a look at Mario in Super Mario Bros. Origins. The movie starts by establishing his motivation. He really doesn't like being in Brooklyn because everyone there hates him and he's always trying to prove himself. But that constant need for proving himself is what gets him into the Kingdom world to begin with. And it's also one of the things that motivates him to rescue Princess Peach when she is captured by Bowser. And throughout the second act of the movie, he's constantly trying to make his way to Bowser's castle to rescue Peach, while learning some good life lessons along the way that influence his change at the end. In the Kingdom world, he doesn't have to worry about people not liking him, and he manages to do amazing things. And at the end, he learns that the reason he was failing wasn't because people were doubting him, it was because he was doubting himself. And he finally manages to beat Bowser in the end when he lets go of that doubt. So the whole movie had a point. He uses all the things he learns on his journey to win in the end. And that's what didn't happen with Mario in the Mario Galaxy movie. Next up is Luigi. Now you'd think that since he has more screen time, they do more with his character, but they didn't. He tries his best to get Mario to trust Bowser, but then Bowser betrays them, and he doesn't really feel any sort of weight for that. Like Mario, he's kinda just sitting there with no real motivation of his own. Now compare that to Luigi in Super Mario Bros. Origins. He loves his brother very much and really doesn't want to lose him, but he just doesn't have the courage to say it. And because of that, he and Mario get into a fight, which he instantly regrets. But after going on the big adventure to rescue Peach and seeing just how happy Mario is in the Kingdom world compared to Brooklyn, he finally gets the courage to speak his mind. And he realizes he was selfish for trying to force Mario to go back to Brooklyn, and decides to stay in the Kingdom world with him to support him. The big difference is that in Super Mario Bros. Origins, he actually sees the consequences of his actions and makes sure to fix things. Plus, he does have a motivation of his own, wanting to stay with Mario and pay back the debt that they owe back in Brooklyn. Then there's Princess Peach, who kinda just wins every fight she gets into in the Mario Galaxy movie, leaving no excitement for any of the action sequences that she's in. And she also gets mad a lot, sometimes for valid reason, but not other times. She doesn't really grow or change as a character either, but at the very least, she has a motivation. That being to find out where she came from. And she does, but it's at the cost of Rosalina's backstory. And she is actively trying to reach a goal, but Mario isn't, so this kind of makes her more of a main character than Mario is in a Mario movie, and that's kind of weird. Compare that to Princess Peach from Super Mario Bros. Origins, who already knows where she came from because Toadsworth told her, but because of that feels like she doesn't belong in the Kingdom world. But that feeling slowly goes away when she meets Mario and Luigi, who, despite coming from the same world that Peach comes from, managed to do great things in the Kingdom world. And at the end of the movie, Mario tells Peach what he learned from Yoshi about what a home is. And Peach figures if Mario and Luigi can somehow find a way to belong in the Kingdom world, then she can too. So even though she's the one getting kidnapped in this movie, that that doesn't stop her from being a character and having some development. Next up is Yoshi, and oh my gosh, what did the Mario Galaxy movie do to him? He serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever, and his inclusion actively harms the story. Mario and Luigi's introduction scene doesn't work to reintroduce them as characters because it's too busy focusing on Yoshi, who does nothing throughout the entire movie! And every time he does do something, it's something that doesn't even matter and takes time away from the stuff that does matter. So not only does he not serve a purpose, he also steals screen time from other characters that need it! Especially Rosalina, who has a little more than 4.5 minutes of screen time in this movie because Yoshi's too busy wasting 12 gosh dang minutes with nothing but filler! Whew, I gotta calm down. If you couldn't already tell, Yoshi's my favorite Mario character. And even with that in mind, I think the Mario Galaxy movie would have been a better movie if he just wasn't in it, which feels very wrong to say, but it is very true. So I really wanted to do him justice in Super Mario Bros. Origins. I included the Yoshi's Island story where he saves Baby Mario and Baby Luigi from Baby Bowser. And that plays a big part in the movie because there are gateways from the real world to the Kingdom world that Yoshi sealed up, and Bowser was looking for them for so long that everyone started mocking him, and by the time the film takes place, he is absolutely fed up with it. You see, the reason he was looking for Mario and Luigi was because he looked in a crystal ball, or in this case a crystal coconut, which said that eventually they would stop him from ruling the world. So he sent his minions to the real world to kidnap Mario and Luigi, but out of the goodness of his heart, Yoshi saved them. And when Yoshi comes across Mario and Luigi as adults, he still chooses to assist them and give them some valuable advice that really helps them later on. So overall, he serves a pretty big purpose in the story, which is the exact opposite of his Mario Galaxy movie counterpart, who is completely pointless. Now let's move on to our last character who got to be in both films, Bowser. In the Mario Galaxy movie, Bowser, after spending a while with Mario and Luigi, comes to realize that they're not really bad guys, and he actually starts treating them nicer. But it only takes a 1-minute pep talk from his son to convince him to kill them again. So in Super Mario Bros. Origins, instead of having him go from good to immediately evil again, I made him go from evil to even more evil. He starts by kidnapping Princess Peach and trying to negotiate with her to marry him, but she declines multiple times, which makes him start to think that he's gone soft. So he drops the whole act and goes full Bowser. And he ends up taking down Yoshi's Island and the Mushroom Kingdom in seconds. But when he tries to take over Brooklyn, Mario and Luigi finally put an end to his reign of terror. The problem with Bowser in the Mario Galaxy movie is that his change is way too fast, and that's because the movie tried to do so many other things at once. So with Mario Bros. Origins, his change is more gradual, and that's about it for the characters. Now moving on to the story and how it's structured. In that aspect, the Mario Galaxy movie easily falls apart. A ton of things don't make sense with the context that the film provides, and some things just seem to happen by chance instead of the characters actually trying to get somewhere. So let's start at the start, and the film opens with Bowser Jr. kidnapping Rosalina. I hope you like that opening scene, because that's pretty much all you're gonna get of her. Now, it's fine to have the plot of a movie be about rescuing someone, as long as the person you're rescuing is actually established as a character, and is someone that we actually get to care about. There is a part at the beginning where Rosalina tries to read a bedtime story to the Lumas, only for them to constantly interrupt her. And that's pretty much all we get. The movie doesn't bother to go in depth with who she is, or what her motivations or internal struggles are. She's kinda just there, and this is a huge storytelling no-no. If you don't get your audience to care about what your characters are heading towards, it makes the movie all the more boring. The film clearly doesn't know what it wants to do with Rosalina, which is especially shown with all the inconsistencies with her powers. Sometimes they allow her to break free from what she's restrained by, and sometimes not. Then the film reintroduces Mario and Luigi, but like I said before, all it does was introduce Yoshi. We don't get to see how Mario and Luigi have changed since the last movie, or what new things they struggle with in this one, which is a big problem because these are things that should be established when you reintroduce your main characters. But this movie said, nah, let's just fill time with a montage of Yoshi going through Brooklyn. And like I said with my last point, if there's nothing to care about, then boring. If you have a scene where there's no point to anything that's going on, then just don't add it. Because if you do, your audience won't be entertained. Instead, they will just be waiting around for something to happen. Like the characters are in this movie, apparently. We then get a scene that establishes Mario having feelings for Peach, but the movie doesn't treat that like it's important at all. After we get a lengthy scene of walking through Peach's birthday party, we finally get the first good scene in the movie. The first of like 2 or 3, I think, where Peach talks about her internal struggle and Mario tries to cheer her up. We finally get introduced to something new that we could have cared about if the movie went in depth with it. Then, for no real reason in the film's context, star bits start shooting across the sky, and this scene is annoyingly long because nothing happens until it's over. And I just said you can't have scenes that aren't important at all. Scenes where nothing happens are the worst, and if you're a filmmaker, or if you want to be one, do not have scenes like this in your movies. So then one of Rosalina's Lumas falls down from the sky, and we didn't need that whole star shower scene if there was just gonna be one Luma, and that Luma asks Princess Peach if she can go save Rosalina, and Peach is intrigued when she learns that Rosalina knows about her. But then the Toads barge in and tell her not to leave, which makes sense because Peach is the princess and she needs to take care of the Mushroom Kingdom, and they can just send Mario and Luigi to save Rosalina. Mario kicks the Toads out, but they do their best to emphasize that Peach shouldn't leave. So then she leaves without telling anyone and writes Mario a note to let him know that she's gone. Mario and Luigi spend all afternoon the next day taking care of the kingdom, and that scene adds nothing to the story or their characters, so yeah, it's another one of those. Eventually, they go to check on Tiny Bowser, who obviously wants to be big again, but then they get interrupted when Bowser Jr. abducts the castle. They have a big fight with Bowser Jr., which ends with Peach's castle being dropped onto another planet. And just like that, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi are forced into the story with nothing to do. When you make a movie, you can't just grab your characters and put them in the story for no reason. Your characters need a reason to be in the story, otherwise they might as well not be there. Then we cut back to Peach, who actually does have something to do when this is basically her movie anyway. But the problem is she has no idea who Rosalina is, what her name is, or what she looks like, which are things that she should have asked the Luma, but she just didn't bother to. So the movie conveniently places a missing persons poster right in front of her. I mean, if there was a different missing person poster in there, she probably would have gone looking for the wrong person. But Peach doesn't even know where to start, so the movie does it for her and has a new Kiki steal Toad's backpack leading them to Wart, who just so happens to know where Rosalina is. And this is another huge writing no-no. You need to have your characters make decisions. You can't just decide for them and have them reach their goal through a series of coincidences. Cause yet again, that makes for a very boring story. And somehow Peach is able to defeat an entire army of enemies that work for Wart and doesn't use a single power-up until she interrogates him. Look, if you're not gonna make your character struggle at all during a fight scene, that makes for a very boring fight scene. Anyways, Luigi convinces Mario to make Bowser big again, and Bowser helps them get to the Gateway Galaxy cause he somehow knows what that is, but then he gets abducted by Bowser Jr. And then we get the second good scene in the movie, after all this time, which is a flashback to a story Bowser used to tell his son using puppets. It was a nice scene with a lot of personality, and it finally made some of the characters feel like characters again. But sadly, the movie couldn't be this good for long, cause we have to have Star Fox. So you're telling me that this whole movie was an advertisement for a character with only 3.5 minutes of screen time? Peach and Toad reunite with everyone else, and Mario fails at flirting with Peach despite doing it so effortlessly in the first film. Then after a freaking Star Fox scene, Bowser doesn't want to kill Mario and Luigi because he thinks they're cool now, but his son doesn't think so, so he turns them into babies and they crash land onto a planet filled with dinosaurs. Oh, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. One dinosaur. And I guess the filmmakers wanted something for Yoshi to do, so they allow him to waste 6 minutes on this planet. They couldn't even incorporate Yoshi's Island into the story properly, they just forced it into a reference. So then Yoshi turns Mario and Luigi back to normal because for some reason Bowser Jr. threw the gun that he used to turn them into babies onto this planet. I already said what I said about the coincidences, you already know this. Then Luigi tries to contact any nearby ships, and it just so happens that the Lumas are nearby and they hear his call, and they find them despite not knowing where they were. So anyway, Bowser goes back to being full evil again after a 1-minute conversation with his son, and Peach reads about her backstory with Rosalina. Apparently they were sisters made of stardust. Evil forces tried to take Peach, so she was sent to the Mushroom Kingdom, and none of this is ever elaborated upon. We never learn what evil forces were after them, and we never learn why they were made of stardust. And we never get to find out why Rosalina never visited Peach or how she met the Lumas. or what the Lumas are and why they can transform into star launchers. So that backstory ends up doing the opposite of what a backstory should do and ends up creating more questions than it actually answers. So anyway, Bowser Jr. made a planet exactly how Bowser described it in his story and starts draining the life out of Rosalina to power a cannon. But this isn't like the Death Star where we actually get to see what it does. It actually never gets powered on. And finally, it's time to end the gosh dang movie. Fox flies everyone to Planet Bowser, they avoid all of Bowser's traps, defeat Bowser, well, only it seems like it. So, okay, they eventually defeat Bowser and Bowser Jr., because Bowser Jr. has this magic paintbrush that's inconsistent with how it's used, because sometimes it makes creatures that work for you, but other times it just doesn't. It's just like Rosalina's powers with how inconsistent it is. But those powers are what end up freeing her anyway because she combines them with Peach or something. Then they all head home, rebuild Peach's castle, and guess what? The movie just ends. We never get to see how the characters or world changed after this adventure. The movie just ends. Was there a point to any of that? I can't even get excited for the post-credits scenes because I know that whatever they bring up is never going to be utilized the way it should. And yeah, that's the Super Mario Galaxy movie. After this film came out, I could tell that this film franchise needed an upgrade desperately. Now for comparison, Super Mario Bros. Origins, which begins with a little backstory and some context about the Kingdom World. Bowser ruled an evil empire called the Koopas who were very selfish and greedy. They stole an artifact from another kingdom called the Crystal Coconut, which could show them whatever they asked it to. But when Bowser asked to see his future, it showed that he would be defeated by two humans named Mario and Luigi. So he sent his minions to the real world to kidnap them, but they were saved by a dinosaur named Yoshi who sealed the gateways between worlds. And after more than 20 years of searching for another gateway, Bowser is fed up with everyone mocking him and decides to go kidnap the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom instead, motivating his army to help him. We are then properly introduced to Mario and Luigi the way a film should introduce its main characters, by showing their main traits and what they struggle with. In this case, Mario likes being different from everyone else and has lots of ideas, but no one ends up liking them or him, which makes him doubt himself. And the more he doubts himself, the more mistakes he makes. Eventually, he and Luigi have to pay a big fine, and another one of his mistakes gets them thrown into the Kingdom World via a gateway. Thing is, here, the characters' actions actually further the story, instead of there just being a series of coincidences that bring them to their goal. Luigi always tries to cheer up his brother, but he doesn't feel confident about going into the Kingdom World. Meanwhile, Mario does. The two make their way to Peach's castle. Peach is very curious about Mario and Luigi because she's a person, and they are the first people that she's ever interacted with in the Kingdom World. Mario and Luigi ask where they are and how they got there, and Peach informs them. But Mario and Luigi still need money to pay off their debts, so they pretend to be heroes in exchange for some money. To make sure they're worthy of serving her, she puts them through a training course. Mario's always been a very athletic person, which was shown in the scenes in Brooklyn, so he and Luigi managed to beat the obstacle course. Afterwards, Mario talks to Peach about how he wishes he knew how it felt to be important like her. But Peach lets him know that she still feels rather lonely, and being important isn't what being a princess or even a hero is about. It's about doing what's right and taking care of the ones you care about. After that conversation, Luigi gets worried that Mario might end up choosing the Kingdom World over him one day. But they're all interrupted when Bowser attacks, kidnaps the princess, and announces that he's going to marry her. Mario and Luigi are informed that if they don't save the princess, they won't get paid. Luigi doesn't want to go, but Mario reassures him with a saying he came up with: brothers stick together. But not long after they go to save her, they get attacked by a bunch of flying fish and get shipwrecked on another kingdom. Bowser tries his best to impress the princess, but she rejects him, and his assistant Kamek informs him that the Crystal Coconut let him know where the Mario Bros are. They landed on DK Island, a kingdom filled with monkeys and apes, one of which, named Donkey Kong, attacks them because they were trespassing. Back on the training course, Peach mentioned these things called power-ups, which make them stronger, and Mario uses one to defeat Donkey Kong. But that gets him and Luigi in a lot of trouble, and they get imprisoned for 2 years, which makes Mario doubt himself again. Thankfully, before they can serve those 2 years, they meet a monkey named Diddy Kong. He asks them if they're the boys from the story. They don't know anything about the story, so he tells them about the story of Yoshi saving Mario and Luigi from Bowser, but leaves out any names. The Kongs didn't believe Mario and Luigi were trying to rescue the princess from Bowser because they didn't believe Bowser was capable of such things. But they're proven wrong when Bowser's forces arrive and start attacking. Diddy Kong finally believes what Mario and Luigi have been saying about Bowser and agrees to free them. They then use another power-up to get get off the island and work together to outmaneuver Bowser's forces, but they accidentally get hit by a missile, lose their power-up, and land on another kingdom. After getting rejected by the princess yet again, Bowser decides to go full evil mode, believing that he doesn't need the princess's permission to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. But the princess is going through a lot. We see through a flashback that she arrived in the Kingdom world via a gateway when she was just a baby, and she grew up believing that she just doesn't belong. Meanwhile, Mario and Luigi land on Yoshi's Island and finally reunite with Yoshi, who tells them the story in greater detail. He agrees to help them get to Bowser's castle with help from his girlfriend Birdo, but then Bowser attacks and takes down all of his friends, capturing them and setting the island on fire. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Birdo escape on a boat, but Yoshi watches as his kingdom burns, which establishes that Bowser clearly means business. Birdo comes up with a plan to sneak into Bowser's castle via the Iced Lands, and on the way there, Yoshi gives Mario some very valuable advice about what it means to have a home and how to use his past as motivation instead of letting it bring him down. Mario uses that information to fight off a Hammer Bro in the Iced Lands and try to convince Luigi to stay in the Kingdom world after they were done because he was happy there, but not in Brooklyn. Luigi declines because he's afraid of losing Mario and afraid of change, even good change. But Luigi gets kidnapped by Koopas and cars, and Mario almost dies trying to save him. After their near-death experience, they rethink things and start working together again, and it gets them all the way to Bowser's castle. But Birdo betrays them, as she told Luigi her backstory back on the boat, but left out a few details. The fact that she worked for Bowser and was trying to impress him. She ties up Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, hands them to Bowser, and Bowser uses the crystal coconut to expose the truth about them to Peach. He then has Kamek use his magic to send them to their doom, but they end up getting sent to DK Island. And that's the point where Mario finally gives up. But after seeing this, and after everything they've gone through, Luigi finally opens up. He tells Mario about what he was afraid of, and then tells Mario that the reason he made so many mistakes was because he was focusing on what other people thought of him, and not about being himself. And this gives Mario the motivation he needs to finally finish the journey. Thankfully, Luigi swiped the crystal coconut when Bowser wasn't looking and gives it to the Kongs in exchange for their help. Bowser tries to take over the Mushroom Kingdom, but Mario, Luigi, and the Kongs arrive there to beat him up, but then Bowser tries to take over Brooklyn by blowing up a gateway and sending everyone there. Mario is once again surrounded by the people who hated him, but this time he finally focuses on what's important, and he and Luigi work together to defeat Bowser. And the film ends with Mario and Luigi finally living happily in the Kingdom world. Well, that was a lot, but I hope you can finally see all the differences and where I was coming from when I was making this new movie. And I'll bet you notice how I didn't have any filler scenes unlike that gosh dang Mario Galaxy movie. And that's all for this video. I hope you look forward to the sequel to Mario Bros. Origins whenever it comes out, and of course, the Donkey Kong Country movie coming later this year. See ya!